welcome back to our ongoing podcast series. We've been dealing with a series of podcasts on how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the Ontario criminal court justice system. Today, we're going to be dealing with the modernization of the courts. That the COVID pandemic has essentially forced the courts to come into the 21st century, if I might put it that way. And COVID exposed some deficiencies in the system and in order to keep these courts safe. So, I'm here today joined by our office manager, Jody Fulmer, who runs
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Jody. Great to see you again, and thanks for on your great job that you and the staff and the lawyers are doing at Kruse Law Firm.
You're welcome.
So, what do you think of this modernization of the court system, Jody?
I think you're right. If we should be grateful for one thing with the COVID pandemic, it's probably in this area because the court system and the way things were being handled and completed, we were due for an update. So the pandemic has forced that issue within the court system and the Crown's office and how things are being handled and done because we had to get with the times, and it forced the court and the ministry and everyone to spend a lot of money to bring everything up to date with regard to the courts and getting, virtual court appearances, virtual guilty pleas, and then some trials now can be done, so be it by virtual appearance. So, that costs a lot of money to bring your court systems up to date and retrofit it and with electronics and everything else to make that equipment work properly. So they've done a great job doing that. And there's also other things the Crowns are doing to update that kind of stuff electronically too, right, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. This is a very interesting topic because, COVID's been a terrible thing, very stressful on all of us, but sometimes there's good that comes out of bad and everything in life. And
Right.
what COVID did was it exposed the deficiencies in our criminal court system. Mm-hmm. So, for example, we've been very paper-oriented in our system, and now the court needs to be safe. They need to limit the numbers. They need to have no documents passing. So, and they said, look, we've got to spend millions of dollars. They've been talking about this for years. Mm-hmm. Our criminal court system, without a word of a lie, and Doug Downey, the Attorney General, who's done a fantastic job. I watched a seminar from his yesterday.
And he said webinar. The same?
Yeah, he said we were basically stuck in the 19th, maybe the 20th century.
1800s?
Yeah, so what have they done? Well, we need to limit the courts, we need to make them safe, but let's do this all at once. Let's spend millions of dollars and bring the system that we need. So they've gone, number one, we've got Zoom technology we use. Mm-hmm. We've got judicial visual network technology, virtual network technology that they're using. We now do what are called electronic designations. Instead of filing paperwork, we can file documents electronically. Mm-hmm. Not these, we used to file, the briefs, we tab and file like this and this, Jody, and dump it on the desk and all deliver.
Bind it, yeah.
It's all done electronically now, and they've done a wonderful system. And the Crown Attorney's Office have, for disclosures now done electronically. It used to be physical disclosure, but sometimes we get a disc, some counties physical. But they've gone through two systems now, which has created, it's going to be great, don't get me wrong, but initially they had a system called EATS, which they were using to download disclosure, and then we'd get it. The Crowns have had to adapt to this new hub system for disclosure, which they're using. It works great, but the problem is a lot of the clerks are working home.
These things are all, Mike, password encrypted too, of course. So sometimes the passwords time out. So there's little issues they still have to work through, I'm assuming.
Yes, absolutely. But the problem that I'm seeing in some of the counties, I won't mention who to protect the innocent, but there's some delayed disclosure going on, which is creating delays. That's going to be resolved. We've been talking to the head Crowns about this. The basic issue is they've had to go through, they've had to adapt. They've had to go through two different systems. They're on the hub. They're getting it. The police need to work hand in hand with getting the disclosure to the Crowns, who need to vet it, and where they're doing a good job.
And I think that delay also, just to pipe in here for a minute, is the one office I know you're thinking of in specific is,
I don't want to mention the name.
no, down some staff members too. So that's causing a bit of a delay with the
Yeah,
disclosure.
But in fairness to that office, there's delays in other offices too. There's no question about
No,
that.
I'm not just piping up about, I'm just saying a lot of people from COVID at the Crown's office chose not to come back and even chose even to work remotely because whether they weren't retrofitted at home to work remotely. So moving along.
There's a lot of adaptation going on by the Crown's
Yeah.
office. No, absolutely. So, so with this technology, then, this disclosure has been great, or it will become great. The virtual reality is going great, and we're removing all this paperless nonsense. Paper documents that are crazy. And as Doug Downey said, he's going to continue to spend the money. I'm very pleased with the system. It'll eventually. Right now, there's some inefficiencies because it's a learning curve, but it's going to be fantastic going forward. And again, if there's one great thing coming out of COVID, it's this. I'm so thankful that the courts.
The only thing.
The court's been brought in the 21st century, but the lawyers, the criminal defense lawyers and Crowns have had to adapt too, because we have had to learn all this new technology.
I
The
know.
staff, it's not easy, but there's training seminars, we've taken it, and we're getting it great, and I'm pleased with the way our firm's running on it too. So,
for sure.
This has been a very positive thing, and I think the judges have worked hard at this too. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Some of these judges, including me, I started when everything was pen and paper. No
Yeah.
computers, pen
That
and
was
paper.
in the 1800s.
Well, yeah, 1902, as we say, Jody. But
1902.
I remember, I don't think I started using a computer until the early 90s.
No.
I'm lying. Late 90s. Thank God I took grade 9 typing, though, so it did help me. But all kidding aside, very thankful for what the AG is doing, very thankful for all the parties working together in the justice system, and everyone is working together is the point, and we've got this new great technology that's going to bring us, last us for another many years into the 21st century.
I agree with you. I think everyone needs to be commended, getting up to date with this stuff. And it's going to be a continuous learning curve, but everyone is doing a great, great job.
Yes, absolutely. And the one thing that I'm kind of excited about that they're just bringing a pilot project in, and they haven't brought it into criminal, but I think they will, is a software called Caseline, which is going to create easier document sharing at trials between the judges and witnesses and allow you to do a virtual trial or in purpose. This is used in certain other countries. I think it's used in Australia to great effect. So am I looking for the learning curve of learning it? Maybe not, but it's a great program. I've been reading about it. So look for that to come. Maybe we'll do a podcast on that one day in the next 6 months, but that's going to be an interesting development in the criminal court system, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah, so, thanks again for joining us today, Jody.
No
It's
problem,
been
Mike. No problem.
wonderful to get your input as a frontline worker, essential worker, I guess you could say. And are the pots and pans going off in front of your home for you or for the criminal lawyers? I don't.
No.
Probably not. I think the only people that love criminal lawyers are their own clients to a certain extent. But anyway, it's been great joining you again for this podcast, our viewership, and we're going to continue this podcast series on how the COVID-19 pandemic is affecting the criminal justice system. I really hope you enjoyed our podcast. We are absolutely committed to bringing you informative and interesting criminal and DUI content. If you're watching this on YouTube, I ask and encourage you to like this video and subscribe to our channel. If you happen to be an audio listener, please follow us and stay tuned for more great content. If you've been charged with a criminal offense or a DUI in Ontario, please call us or reach out to us online with the contact form found at kruselaw.ca.